Holy smokes, what is happening? It's a beautiful Sunday outside. I'm so excited to be here and have these conversations with you all. Part of these conversations I want us to have is the future of what RFK Jr. looks like with President Trump alongside President Trump to make America healthy again. Now, there's also this amazing conversation that I want us to have or we'll look into with the former CDC director, because he was recently on with Chris Cuomo, and they're talking about how he's going to do that specifically. And I absolutely love this, especially seeing the guy who was in charge of the CDC. How is that not amazing? How are more people not talking about this? So I'm excited to look into that. Another thing I want us to look into is how President Trump actually took a sweep of all the battleground states. A couple of days after, all the counts are actually, for the most part in, and all the races are called for. President Trump has ended up with 312 electoral college votes. This is insane. Another thing that's insane is Kamala Harris has been radio silent since November 6th. That was the last time we've heard from her. It's the last time we've seen her. No one knows where she is. And it's a little concerning. Same thing with her campaign page, Kamala HQ. They have one last post, and it's just kind of cryptic to me. Anyways, let's get into it. I'm so excited to be here. I hope you're all having a fantastic, fantastic day. So the first thing I want us to look at is this amazing picture with RFK Jr. and President Trump. They are both. This is obviously like artificially made, but I love it anyways. But they are both standing side by side outside the White House, holding bats. Trump says MAGA. RFK Jr. says Maha, make America healthy again. And this picture has Republicans plus Democrats. Underneath it, it says united against evil. Don't you like it? I love it. To me, it speaks to this coalition of parties, ideas, and values. Because again, you have independents like RFK Jr. You have former Democrats like Tulsi Gabbard, who's now a Republican, and you have other Democrats like Elon Musk, who've really formed this new version of this Republican Party, this new movement that was established, kind of through MAGA and Maha. And I love it. It's become a home for independence. That's how I'm seeing it. That's how I'm feeling it. And I know a lot of other independents and people who are kind of more centralist. They found a home here, and I love it. Anyways, one of the first things I want to talk about today is Donald Trump Jr. was recently with Megyn Kelly, and he was talking about making America healthy again with RFK Jr. and just really honoring that commitment. And I absolutely love it. And it gives us kind of a hint of what the future looks like in the Trump administration. Check this out.
I was actually with RFK yesterday. We definitely do want to, honor the promise that we made, make sure that he's involved in whatever capacity sort of he wants. And I think he'd do an incredible job on the stuff as it relates to health. I love what RFK can do to health. I have 5 young kids. I want to make sure I'm not poisoning them, when they have a meal. I think that's incredible. I'd love to let him go wild on some of these things, or at least shed some light so the American public understands exactly why we are where we are, exactly why we're so fat, exactly why we're so unhealthy, and why it seems like so many people are trying to keep us that way rather than let us be healthy.
Come on. I love it. And so many people are talking about this. You know what I also just saw today? I just saw that leading report reported that RFK Jr. says the Trump administration will change the personnel of public health agencies on day one. And he says, if we can't fire them, we can ship them to a new HHS headquarters in Guam. And, this is really going back to the promise of him really draining the swamp, because you need to make sure that the people in the highest positions are actually people that you could trust, people who have the best interests of the American public, so they could serve them the right way. And I just love that RFK Jr.'s commitment is so real here. And you see, this is the picture that I showed at the beginning, and it's united against evil. I also love how Megyn Kelly here was just so in agreement, saying like, yes, I want to make sure that my children aren't being poisoned. This is such a core value that RFK Jr. is pushing through MAGA. And even Donald Trump Jr. was saying, yeah, like even if like they don't really change anything, we need to expose them so that people know what is happening. The people know what they're putting inside their bodies. It's so we can make informed decisions moving forward, even if the thing is the same. It's like, at least we ought to know if it's bad and if it's killing us. And I love that that's something that RFK Jr. is really pushing forward. And so many people are absolutely in love with RFK Jr. over this post. Like, this one person says, unfathomably based. They are in complete agreement, and it shows RFK Jr. with a complete Chad face. And I just think it's great. Another top comment says, "You are being transferred to Guam. Get in the shipping container." Oh my goodness. This is so crazy. Another top comment says, Vivek brilliantly explained that now, because of the Chevron deference decision, entire departments can now be eliminated since their function is no longer relevant. I just can't see how the majority of government going quietly off into the sunset. However, you could say that, but again, this is about making America healthy again, not serving lifelong bureaucrats. And looks like they already have a very strategic decision on how they're going to do that. Another thing that I saw was, this is kind of getting more into the specifics of what RFK Jr. could actually do, or his position or his title. If you're into that, David Sachs on the All In podcast, he says, I think it's so important for Bobby to get confirmed in whatever cabinet position he's going to get. Kind of the same thing that Donald Trump Jr. was saying, except Donald Trump Jr. was saying, yeah, he could do pretty much whatever he wants. And I just love that. But check this out.
Let's say a word about, I think it's so important for Bobby Kennedy to be confirmed in whatever cabinet position that he's going to get. Number one, we look back at the campaign now and it seems obvious that Trump was going to win it. But at the time that Bobby Kennedy came on board, that was a major factor in shifting momentum towards Trump. So that's number one. Number two, we need to keep Bobby Kennedy's coalition as part of our movement. It's not just about what he did in this last election. It's keeping all of those people, those young people and those former Democrats on side and part of the Republican Party and the MAGA movement. And number three, he's genuinely going to reform that huge part of the bureaucracy. And that's extremely important. And we need outsiders to come in and shake things up. He's right about the regulatory capture. He's right about the marriage of state power and corporate greed. Let's have someone go in there who's got fresh eyes, but also understands how the bureaucracy works because he's litigated, and shake things up.
Shake things up. That is what RFK Jr. has been saying even since the beginning of his campaign. He knew that the two-party system was constructed in a way that it would keep, bureaucrats at their place. It would keep them in this stagnant position, and they would go off after they were done to get some crazy awesome job without that they were having a cushion seat on the board, and they were just gonna be making millions of dollars in passive income. Like, no, RFK Jr. is like, we are done with that. We are draining the swamp. We are putting the American people first, and he was just completely chatting out here. And personally, I love it, and so do a lot of other people. So yes, I'm in complete agreement with David over here, and I hope that he does get confirmed ASAP, because like Donald Trump Jr. just said, it is really important for you guys to make sure that you keep the promise. You make sure that you keep people like me and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of independents who it was millions of independents who voted in this election, who really threw it to President Trump. But you guys want to make sure that you guys keep us happy. You make sure you do the things you say you're going to do, because if you don't, like, again, we might be part of the undecided voters in 2028. If you guys want to maintain power in 2028, if you guys want to keep it going to another Republican, or if you guys want to do something crazy and have an independent, endorse an independent, that'd be awesome too. But it looks like Donald Trump Jr. is really for this idea as well. He's like, I want him to do what he wants to do, and more so, I want to make sure that we keep making America healthy again. We keep that audience happy, because again, like we've said over the past couple of videos, this is what really gave Trump the election. It's this group of undecided voters. It's the people who were really for Kennedy across so many states. I was looking at all these other states like Wisconsin and, New Mexico. And like in New Mexico, Trump only won by 50,000 votes. In Wisconsin, Trump won by 30,000 votes. Like that was the third party vote in that state alone. And the same thing with New Mexico. And like these things are crazy. It was much closer than we really think. Anyways, I want us to look at this video from the CDC director and Chris Cuomo, because he answers the question like how RFK Jr. will make America healthy again. And I love that Chris Cuomo kind of presses back and he asks really the question that we all have right now. So check this out.
President Kennedy was president, we had about 3% of the American public was obese, right? We're now over 40%. And some people think we may be as high as 70%.
So isn't that proof that you can't fix it?
No, it's a proof that we've ignored it. And I think Kennedy's on to one of the key elements to fixing it. It's not that we are eating more. It's not that we're exercising less. I think he's really on to something. It's that what we put in our body is not as healthy. And this idea of hyper-processed food and the idea of
we know.
I love that. Are you kidding? He's saying it's not that we're moving less. It's not that we're eating anything different or we're eating more. It's what we are putting inside of our bodies that is messing with our it's messing with our body in a way that's like, oh, it's impossible to actually walk off these calories if these calories are actually coming from a really toxic place. We're not supposed to have these chemicals in. We're like it makes just so much sense. And I love this. And even I saw this on the Seattle Times with this headline saying Trump gives victory, or sorry, Trump victory gives RFK Jr. free reign to shape public health. Also, just right now, how I said that, that's like so much proof that I'm totally dyslexic and I love it. Anyways, moving forward, talking about draining the swamp and actually having better people in these positions. I love that President Trump recently tweeted saying, I will not be inviting former ambassador Nikki Haley or former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to join the Trump administration, which is currently in formation. And he's so kind here, really. He says, I very much enjoyed and appreciated working with them previously and would like to thank them for their service to our country. Make America great again. Isn't that like really kind? Isn't that like extraordinarily polite? I don't know. Some people. I recently got this notification just a couple minutes ago, and let's see. It was from Benny Johnson, and he said that President Trump made a humiliating post about Nikki Haley and Mike Pompeo, and I'm like, no, this is actually really, really kind. This is so gracious. This is so polite, and I think to me, this is like Trump 2.0. You know, he's not trying to bag on anyone. He's not trying to humiliate anyone, but he's genuinely trying to bring unity back to this country. And I love it. I really love it. Also, I love that President Trump, who is still not in the White House as of right now, but he is still getting to work. Just the things that have happened around the world because President Trump has now been elected as the 47th president of the United States. So many things are actually starting to move in good ways. Like I love this list by Liz Wheeler. She says Trump is president-elect for 2 days. She says stock market hits record high. Migrant caravan at our border dissolves. Hamas cause for end of war. I don't know if you guys saw this. This is literally from Newsweek with the headline that says Hamas cause for immediate end to war after Trump election win. Like he's not even in office. It's literally not January. He's not going to be there for another 2 months, but he's already moving the needle. Look at this. Bitcoin hits record high. Putin ready to end Ukraine war. Thankfully, this is what we were talking about. We want world peace. We want peace back here. We don't want our resources going in places that confuse us. No, we just want people to be okay. We want lives to be okay. We're sick of seeing these people across the world put their lives on the line and seeing all these tens of thousands of people like dead. Like we don't want that anymore. We want peace. Look at this. Qatar kicks out Hamas leaders. EU will buy U.S. gas, not Russian gas. Putin will sell oil in U.S. dollars. Zelensky phones Trump and Elon. NYC mayor ends vouchers for illegals. Come on. Mexico to stop migrants at U.S. border. There we go. China wants to work peacefully with us. Big U.S. company to move out of China. And I love how she says, I repeat, Trump has been president-elect for 2 days. He's literally not even president. Come on. And he's already getting to work. If you were going to tell me, I know some Kamala voters watch these videos, and I want you to answer this question honestly. Do you really think that if Kamala Harris won, all of these things would have happened? I disagree. I don't think if she would have won, all of these things would have happened. And I'm just so grateful for this moment right now. And speaking of Kamala Harris, now we're going to go to the Kamala Harris segment of this video. I recently saw that Joe Rogan sat down with Theo Vaughn, and both of these people actually had the option of interviewing Kamala Harris, and it didn't work. Why it didn't work? Check this out. It's because they had too many crazy rules, and I just love how humorous this moment is. Check this out.
This is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to Kamala Harris. I'm like, I bet there's a person in there. I bet I can get to that person.
Yeah.
I wanted to find that person. I don't want to hear all the speeches. I don't want to hear, I was raised middle class. I don't want to hear any of that shit.
She's a roller skater. You know that?
No, I would love to find that out.
Yeah.
I would love to talk to her about all kinds of shit. I literally said, like, because there was a few restrictions of things they didn't want to talk about. But I said, I don't give a fuck. I go get her in here. Like, whatever you want to talk about. And they want to know if I edit. I'm like, there's not going to be any editing. There's no editing.
Yeah.
We're not going to edit. But
that blew my mind. When I saw this, that blew my mind. Kamala Harris's team has so little faith in their candidate that they had to ask the question, you guys edit, right? Like, you guys, like the raw thing isn't going to be the final thing. And now that really confirms that what happened at the CNN debate, because the CNN interview with Dana Bash, they said that the full thing was like 44 minutes, but we only got 22 of it. What happened to the other 22 minutes of it? And again, this goes back to feeding the idea that Kamala Harris, it's not that she was unqualified. It's that she was incoherent. She has the same problem of President Biden. And this is just wild to me.
Yeah, that's the same thing they asked us. Is there an edit? You know,
I just wanted to talk. I feel like you give someone a couple of hours and you start talking about anything. I'm going to see the pattern of the way you think. I'm going to see the way you process ideas. I'm going to see whether or not you're calculated or whether you're just free.
Yeah.
Or are you comfortable with you, or are you projecting things? Like, she's got 80 different accents. How do you decide which one to pull out?
Yeah.
Like, she busts out different accents depending on who she's talking to.
Yeah.
They should have made her talk to a bunch of Chinese folks. I would have loved to hear that accent. I want to see what
I do that too, though.
And again, like if you guys saw the live stream with Larry Sharp, we were talking about kind of Kamala Harris's shadow, right? And the shadow is the performer, and that's when the accents kind of come in and out. But I just love that Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn are both saying, yeah, we both had the opportunity to interview her. We both tried to make it happen, but they said no. We didn't say no. They said no because they had too many restrictions. And I don't know. Is that why they lost? If you ask me, I would say that's probably part of it, because I was watching this video with Colin and Samir, and they were talking about, look at this caption or the title. It's how YouTube podcasts predicted the 2024 election. That's like not true at all. Not true. But they did have this kind of interesting, they put all these in a Google sheet, and they were saying, well, these are the amount of hours and minutes available from President Trump, or these are the views that he got on YouTube, and this is Kamala Harris's. And we've been talking about this for a while, right? Because it doesn't make any sense that Joe Rogan's YouTube interview with President Trump got 35 million views. I think it's at 40 million views as of right now. But Kamala Harris's with Call Her Daddy, or with Alex Cooper on Call Her Daddy, that got less than 1 million. But Trump's interview with Rogan got 40 million views, and it's a close race. It didn't make any sense, right? Audiences are different. Yes, the minutes spent are different, but I love this actual conversation between the amount of time that someone spends with a candidate via the internet, via podcasts, via YouTube. And I think that's what was incredibly powerful, as well as, you know what I love? I love how everyone's talking about how, oh, like President Trump, he's kind of like, this was the podcast election. This is incredible. But you know who went on podcasts before President Trump? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. All right. He went on Joe Rogan before Trump, by like a year. And same thing with Theo Vaughn. So I kind of have this illustration in my head that RFK Jr. walked so President Trump could run, because again, they kind of had the same strategy. But I also love that even behind the strategy of going on to podcasts to to actually, go ahead and talk to people and discuss the issues. Aside from the actual distribution of the podcast, the medium, although the medium is different, the concept is the same, which is going where people are. And right now, it shows that more people are in podcasting space than in the media, or at least that's where the trust is distributed. More people are trusting platforms like YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts to actually consume these life and election altering decisions to their favorite podcasters like Joe Rogan, like Theo Vaughn, because now it's like, we don't want to see an interview with, with Bear. We don't want to see an interview with Dana. We'd much rather see an interview with Joe Rogan. We'd much rather see an interview with Theo Vaughn. And I just love that concept and that conversation, because those are the factors that have really moved this election. Kamala Harris could have gone on Joe Rogan, but she said no, or her team said no. And is that why she lost? Is that why President Trump won every single battleground state? Because undecided voters saw that Kamala Harris was incapable of going on a 3-hour podcast, and they saw that as a definitive weakness. If you ask me, I'm 1000% going to say yes. That was probably a major, major factor. People lost trust in Kamala Harris because of this. And again, it's all about trust. It's all about people. And it's crazy. Speaking of podcasts, another conversation that people are having today, I saw this from Ian Carroll. He said, bro, what? How the heck do you spend 6 figures to appear on a podcast? It says so much about what's wrong with government. Why spend $0 to have an unscripted conversation when you could waste a few $100,000 on the biggest backfire propaganda of the year? And here's what's happening. Right now, the New York Post reported that the Harris campaign reportedly spent 6 figures on Call Her Daddy's podcast, with the episode failing to break 1 million views. This is really sad, right? I want to almost say it's historically sad. It's crazy how bad Kamala Harris did on this front. And there's a lot of things you could say here, like, oh, well, maybe the audience demographics for podcasting is just leaning to men. And if you were to tell me that, I would say, why are more men looking to podcasts to get information? Do women just not listen to podcasts? Do women just not seek out valuable information from these people who they are considering to elect, or these people who they've already casted their vote for? That doesn't make any sense to me. So I actually love that President Trump got almost 125 million views on YouTube. I love that he actually did the work of earning those votes. He earned the popular vote. He earned the Electoral College vote. And Kamala Harris, this clearly shows you that she didn't do the work. And like, I'm sorry to say, but that's just what I'm saying. That's my perspective. What's yours? Please let me know in the comment section. But back to this other conversation about Kamala Harris and Call Her Daddy. Like, they spent 6 figures. They spent $100,000 to actually do that podcast because they created a whole set for it. And that's just crazy, because again, Joe Rogan had the opportunity to go to Kamala Harris to actually have her interview with them, but he's like, no, I think the best version of this podcast is actually having it here in Austin. No one's in the room. It's just me and you're in front of me 3 feet away. We're just having an honest conversation for a couple hours. That's what this show is. That's what a podcast is. And Kamala Harris, she's like, no, let's actually dump $100,000 to kind of fabricate a podcast. And it didn't work. People saw through it, because you can't buy attention. You can't buy meaningful distribution that actually moves the race. The fact that President Trump spent a third of what Kamala Harris's campaign spent, and he came out so much on top, is absolutely absurd. Yes, Kamala Harris had a shorter amount of time, but still, what she chose to do with her time, it was just very limiting. It was very, very limiting. And I love that these conversations are happening right now. And you know what? Kamala HQ, they did a great job of kind of manufacturing this competition to making it seem like it was a lot closer than it really was. But now radio silent, right? She hasn't said anything. Her team hasn't said anything, and it looks like they've just kind of retired. It's been 5 days, radio silent. Same exact thing happening on Kamala Harris's personal page, fighting for the people, wife, mamala, auntie, she, her. I actually just found out that she has her pronouns in her bio. But the last thing she shared was 3 days ago, November 7th, saying for the people, always. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So the last thing I actually want to share is I saw this post. I'm not even gonna really talk about it. It's a little long, but I saw that Lauren Lee shared this amazing message, and I really think everyone should go and read all this. It's a bit long, but it is so good. I will share my little tiny quick response to it because I quote tweeted it, but I wrote that exactly. The right has been disgustingly villainized by the media, making people on the left the victims, while the real victims are everyday people who have to deal with a division that the media has completely fabricated and created. And I just think this is so good because she speaks with such empathy here to all the people who are feeling this incredible loss. They are grieving a campaign. They are grieving a movement that was led by Kamala Harris, and they've dedicated the past 3 months of their lives being invested into what happened and what ultimately led to a loss. And I just love that she really spoke to people's honest emotions, and I actually really love it. So this is gonna be linked up aside along with everything else, but anyways, that's the video. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know what you think about these conversations. And I am so sorry. I never even mentioned earlier, but if you like having these conversations here, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Please try to go and elevate the conversation in the comment section. It means so much to me. I'm definitely going to spend a little bit of time today responding to everyone's comments. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what job you want RFK Jr. to have. Let me know what you think about what Donald Trump Jr. says, where he says like, oh, like we're pretty much just gonna let him do whatever he wants. Or let me know what you think about what he says that they're gonna do with the new HHS headquarters going to Guam for the people who don't want to actually lose their jobs, because these are people who are more invested in building their own personal wealth instead of actually serving the American public. Let me know what you think about that, or what David Sachs said on the All In podcast, or what the former CDC director said with Chris Cuomo. I think this is just so valuable. Anyways, let me know what you think about these conversations in the comment section, and I will see you all next time. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your time. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching and listening. I appreciate your time so much, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to support what we're building here, please like and subscribe. It means a lot and it really helps us out. And if you want to see even more content from me, make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm going to be sharing a lot more on there. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.